What's up, YouTube fans? Welcome back to the AJ Speed Shop YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be bringing you a long, way past due update on the Buick Grand National and talk about some prep work that I am doing to head out on a 1,000-mile road trip adventure tomorrow with the Hot Rod Tour of Texas. So in my last video with the Buick, we had the car on the chassis dyno. I had mentioned that we had been chasing torque converter slip issues through the years with various converters and whatnot. And I mentioned that I wanted to build another 204R billet transmission and add a triple disc lockup converter. And I wanted to experiment with locking up the torque converter at wide open throttle. So over the last month, that's exactly what I did. I had a transmission built. I had Circle D build me a triple disc lockup converter. And we ran into quite a few issues with this experiment. So first off, we got the converter in the car, got everything working, and the triple disc lockup would kill the engine when putting the car in gear when it was cold. Like the clutches were dragging in the converter, and it would kill the engine. So we tried a few things to alleviate that, and we never could solve that. But moving forward, I did get into testing the wide open throttle lockup. And we did that, and the converter did lock up. I had it programmed to lock up at 95 miles an hour at wide open throttle, and it would drop the engine speed about 800 RPMs, and the car instantly gained 2/10. However, the converter was not staying locked. And by the end of the pass, I would end up at the same 65, 6,600 RPMs out the back that the car always runs. So I pulled the transmission back out, and I took the converter back to Circle D. They went through it, found that there was evidence of slippage in the converter, and we started questioning the hydraulic holding capabilities of the transmission itself, the charge pressure, the flow to the converter that keeps the clutches locked in the converter. So we started visiting that, and we could never find a smoking gun as to if we had enough pressure or not. But that being said, we were not able to continue on with the triple disc lockup, and let me explain why. So after removing the transmission, we took the 200R4 back to the transmission builder, and he took the transmission apart, wanted to do some tests internally, check and make sure we had proper flow through everything. The transmission worked fine, but we knew that there was a question of potential holding power with the flow to the converter to keep the clutches locked. So he took the transmission apart, went back through it, couldn't find anything wrong with it. It passed all the normal fluid checks, so we put the transmission back together. I left the converter with Circle D for about 2 weeks or so. They went through, they took a bunch of measurements, and they couldn't find anything wrong with the converter. And that particular converter is supposed to hold around 1,000 rear-wheel horsepower locked, so way more than what we're making with this car. So it should have held. So we kind of drew a line in the sand, and they determined that we didn't have enough hydraulic pressure. Well, we couldn't get them any more hydraulic pressure. I mean, once we checked everything in the transmission pump, we changed springs in the pump to try to raise pressure, and we couldn't, do anything else to verify that we were going to have enough pressure for that transmission to lock at wide open throttle. So more importantly, I was most concerned about the transmission killing the engine when it was cold. Every time you throw the car in gear, when it was cold, it would shut the engine down. Sometimes it'd take me 4 or 5 restarts to be able to get the car out of the driveway. So that wasn't going to work. So we backed up. Another week or two went by. Circle D ended up building my triple disc into a single disc lockup, which we won't be able to lock up a wide open throttle, but it does alleviate the problem with the engine dying going into gear. So it was kind of, we had to kind of go for some averages here and still be able to retain freeway lockup, which was a huge benefit over the non-lock converter. But we just weren't going to be able to lock it at wide open throttle. And at least the engine wasn't going to die every time we try to drive the car and put it in gear. So we did that. We built the single disc. We put it back in the car, got everything working with that, and went back to testing, some wide open throttle testing, and it basically ran the same as it did before on the 60 to 130 in full street trim. It was exactly as fast as the 9.5-inch PTC non-lockup was. It measured the exact same torque converter slippage at the end of a 135 mile an hour run. It came in between 9 and 10% slippage. So it's not any less efficient than the triple disc unlocked or the 9.5-inch PTC non-lock converter was. So it's for now, it's going to be, what we've got until we can figure out something else to do down the road. Maybe move forward with the 480 transmission down the road when we build the aluminum block TA motor. But for now, this is what we got. So moving forward, our next big adventure with this car is we leave out tomorrow morning on the hot rod tour of Texas. And this is basically roughly a 1,000 mile road trip across central Texas, goes through the hill country, has about 11 stops. And it's just going to be super cool. It's basically kind of what I built this car for, to be a pro touring car, not a drag car or roll race car. And it really was my original intended purpose for this car. So right now, today I'm prepping the car, getting it ready for the trip. With all the transmissions swapping in and out, I had the transmission out about 5 times in the last month. So there's been a lot of changes to the car. I have managed to put about 150 miles on it here in the last couple of days. Everything seems fine with it. But today I'm going through just doing a final systems check, fluids check. Been packing all my tools and packing everything that I think that we would possibly need to be able to make it through a 1,000-mile road trip. Now I know 1,000 miles is not a very long road trip, but on a car like this that we've raced, we've changed a lot of stuff on in a short period of time, really anything can happen. And this trip's going to be a good test for us because in June we are taking this same car on the actual hot rod power tour, and that's about a 4,000 mile road trip. So this is going to be a good test run for this car and see how reliable it's going to be, and hopefully make sure we're not going to have any issues. So anyway, I'm gonna just go over some of the things that I'm doing to prep this car and show you some of the stuff that I'm bringing along in anticipation of anything that would potentially happen. All right, guys, just going through and giving everything a good once over. Already verified that my fluids are good. I did an oil change on it a few days ago. And just topping everything off, looking for any suspicious characters that could possibly brew up a problem. But as of now, everything looks okay. I'm going to be bringing me a few spare parts, some kind of notorious stuff that can cause problems for turbo Buicks out on the road when there is no parts available. A lot of this stuff you can't just run to AutoZone or O'Reilly's and get whenever you start having problems. So I've got a few key spare parts with me that I'm going to bring. Hopefully we don't need them. I would much rather bring everything and not need it than need it and not have it. So even bringing an extra belt, bringing an extra alternator, bringing extra plugs, extra cam sensor. Everything's checked out pretty good over here. Let me show you what we've got going on back here at the rear of the car. Some of you guys will probably find this comical, but needless to say, we are packed and ready. Looks like I bought half of Harbor Freight in here. But I wanted to get everything that we thought we would need, and I wanted to buy everything in aluminum so it would be slightly lighter, have less weight in the trunk because the car sits pretty low. Even so, this is probably about at least 150 pounds or so in the trunk. So didn't want to get into a rubbing issue, but we wanted to bring everything I could think of that we would potentially need to make some roadside repairs on this thing. And of course, clean it along the way whenever we get into some bad weather and stuff, which is likely to happen. So most importantly, I got my 1-wire alternator, a spare with me because you can't get those at the auto parts store. And if for some reason my new Power Master fails, at least I got something I can throw on there. I got an extra belt. Like I said, I mentioned my cam sensor. Gonna bring some plugs. Should have everything I would need that hopefully will keep this thing running in the event that we have problems. But hopefully we're not gonna have any problems. Got her all cleaned up, ready to go. We head out at we're supposed to leave about 10 in the morning, but the weather is looking sketchy right in around that time frame, so we might push it back to about 2. The first stop is about 3 hours from where I am here at home, so we'll play it by ear. Of course, I'm going to film everything. I'm going to be bringing everything to you guys. I think road trip adventures and old cars are great. It's great to watch, very entertaining, especially with the shenanigans that will likely happen along the way. So I'll be getting that video uploaded, here after the event. Hopefully you guys will check that one out. And let me know what you think. If you have any ideas or anything that I should bring or do for the road trip, please leave them in the comments. I appreciate you watching this video. I will talk to you soon. Take it easy, guys.